What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and I want to welcome you to Subclass School, the series where I teach you everything you need to know about every subclass in Destiny. So a couple disclaimers to start. These videos take a ton of time and effort to produce, so leaving a like on the video would mean a lot to me. Let's shoot for 10,000 likes on this one. Next, I do all my own testing, but I also use the Destiny Data Compendium to cross-reference my findings, or for certain values like damage resistance. It's an extremely great resource, and I leave a link to it in the description of every single one of my videos. So shout out to the wonderful people who work on that spreadsheet. Also, when doing my testing, I don't use any aspect, fragment, or mod that could interfere with the testing. So you are seeing everything at its base level, so that you know exactly how it works at a baseline. Next, a big thank you to my friends and clanmates who help me test the things that require 2 or more people. It means a lot. And lastly, I am trying to reach 50,000 subscribers before the final shape, so do me a solid and hit subscribe. I know it seems like a lofty goal, but nearly 90% of my viewers are not subscribed. Now, I'm not too bad at math, so if we can bring that closer to even 50%, then I know we can reach 50k in no time. I have a ton of great content planned, so I know you won't regret it. Anyways, that's it, let's get into the video. So in today's video, we'll be covering the arc aspects. Hunters will be getting a new aspect in the final shape, but this video will focus on the aspects we currently have in the game. So there are currently 3 per subclass, so we'll start with Hunter and go in alphabetical order, meaning first up we have Flow State. It reads, defeating a jolted target makes you amplified. While you are amplified, your dodge recharges more quickly, you are more resilient while dodging, and your reload speed is greatly increased. So the fine folks at the Destiny Data Compendium have some concrete numbers for us. So we get 200% additional base class ability regen rate, plus 50 reload speed, and a 0.8x reload duration multiplier. And then we get 66% damage reduction while dodging in PvE and 32% in PvP. So basically, this aspect just gives us nice passive benefits while making it very easy for us to get amplified. Because our other 2 aspects can jolt very easily, so then it makes it very easy to kill a jolted enemy. So the next aspect is Lethal Current. It states, after dodging, your next melee attack has increased lunge range, jolts the target, and creates a damaging aftershock. Damaging any jolted target with melee attacks also blinds them. So this aspect allows us to jolt and blind enemies if we just punch them within 10 seconds after a dodge. That's really all there is to it. It's a very good aspect. And in the Arc Staff super, it allows our light attack to deal damage twice after a dodge, so it enhances the Arc Staff super as well. It has wonderful synergy with Combination Blow, as you can just get a melee kill to refresh your dodge, and then dodge to get a charged melee back with Gambler's Dodge, and then rinse and repeat over and over. There really isn't too much else to say other than that, as it just makes our melees more effective. And that brings us to the final aspect, Tempest Strike. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to unleash a devastating uppercut attack that travels along the ground in front of you, damaging and jolting targets it hits. So again, another melee that can apply Jolt. This is like a Waveframe GL that travels 22 meters, so it has really good ad clear, and then it applies Jolt to whatever targets it doesn't just outright kill. One weird thing with it is if you're running Disorienting Blow, it looks like it blinds an enemy, like it has the red around their head as though they are blinded, but they aren't. You can still use Disorienting Blow like normal to blind targets, but it doesn't seem to work when applied from the Tempest Strike melee. So just something to be aware of. Next we have the Titan aspects, and we'll start with Juggernaut. With full class ability energy and after sprinting for a short time, you gain a frontal shield that blocks incoming damage. When the frontal shield breaks, your class ability energy is depleted. While amplified, the shield blocks significantly more damage before breaking, so the overshield is 50 HP at base and 75 HP when amplified. You can see the difference here on Carl, and it only blocks incoming damage from the front. This is definitely more of a PvP focused aspect. I've abused it lots when playing Arc Titan in Trials. The thing with it is, even though it only has 50 HP, it will just break and not deal damage to you. So you can tank things like a sniper shot and still be full HP. It's very handy. Next is Knockout. Critically wounding a target or breaking their shield infuses your melee attacks with arc energy and increases your melee range and damage for a short time. Defeating targets with melee attacks starts health regeneration and makes you amplified. So this activates when you break an enemy's shield or deal damage to an enemy below 30% HP. This will give you a knockout timer for 6 seconds, but if you break the shield or get an enemy low health, it will not give you the health regen. You only get that on a melee kill. but when you have Knockout active, your base melee will deal double damage in PvE and 30% more in PvP, and your charge melees will deal 25% increased damage in PvE and 20% in PvE. The compendium states it also gives you a lunge distance of 5.5 meters, but I know Bungie has been trying to rein in all the melee distance increasing effects in Destiny thanks to rubber banding. RIP Ophidian Aspect and Syntheseps. When you get that melee kill to trigger health regeneration, it will start to regen your health, but it does not give you a chunk of health. This is an important distinction because it means it can be interrupted. So if you take damage while regenning, the health bar will stop going up. I just want you to be aware of that. It is not like the mod recuperation or like restoration on solar which can't be interrupted, but it is still very nice for helping with survivability. And now for the last aspect, we have Touch of Thunder. This states your flashbang, pulse, lightning, and storm grenades have enhanced functionality. So to illustrate this, I will just do a side-by-side of a base version of the grenade and the enhanced version. And I also want to point out that this functionality also compounds with Spark of Magnitude. So certain grenades can basically be double enhanced. So for flashbang grenades, it will blind on the first bounce as well as the explosion. For pulse grenades, it creates ionic traces periodically as it damages the target and increases damage over time. Lightning grenades get granted an additional grenade charge and they now jolt targets hit by the initial blast. And storm grenades, after detonating, creates a roaming thundercloud that tracks nearby targets and fires bolts of lightning at foes beneath it. This is a truly wonderful aspect on Arctitan for PvE. It's extremely strong, and I even run it in PvP with lightning grenades as it's very good. So yeah, this is almost a must-run aspect for Arctitan. And that brings us to the Warlock. First up is Arc Souls. This states cast your rift to create an Arc Soul that fires a target in front of you. Allies can pass through your rift to get an Arc Soul. Your rift charges faster when allies are near. While amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased fire rate. So the compendium has some good info for us here. Our Arc Souls last for 15 seconds and the timer is refreshed anytime we step into an Arc Soul rift. The Arc Buddy shoots 3 bolts at 100 RPM, but when we are amplified, it shoots more bolts and quicker. It then shoots 5 shots at a time, increasing the overall RPM to 225. And then when allies are near, we get quicker rift cooldowns based on the amount of teammates that are near us. 40% for 1, 80% for 2, and 120% for 3 in PvE. And all those values are halved in PvP. So just an all-around great aspect. And don't sleep on 6 Arc Souls for extra passive damage in PvE. It adds up. Next we have Electrostatic Mind. Another awesome aspect for PvE. It states defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace. Collecting an ionic trace makes you amplified. So as I've spoken about at length, arc builds are all about ability spam. And this rewards you with ionic traces for ability kills, which then allows you to throw more abilities. So it's a wonderful feedback loop. Now, it doesn't say that there is a cooldown on the ionic traces, but in my testing, there does seem to be at least some sort of cooldown in the background. I was using Queenbreaker to add clear and it blinds targets, and the odd time, it seemed to not make an ionic trace. That being said, the vast majority of the time it did make a trace, so all that is to say that this is a very good aspect because even if there is some type of hidden cooldown, it is minute and you can make a shit ton of ionic traces if you build around them properly with weapons with a perk like Volt Shot and having grenades that apply Jolt. But yeah, even if it doesn't make an ionic trace the odd time that it should, it still makes way more than pretty much any other aspect or fragment in the Arc subclass. And now we have the final aspect, Lightning Surge. While sliding, activate your charged melee ability to blink forward, calling down lightning strikes that jolt targets as you rematerialize. So this aspect is a PvP menace as it is great for catching players off guard and killing them behind cover. It's just a really fun aspect in PvP. And if multiple enemies are around, you can sometimes get a one-hit kill as the jolt sort of bounces off the other players. But I don't know if this is intended. Regardless, this is an excellent aspect to run in PvP. However, in PvE, it's not as good as the other two. It puts you into the fray on the battlefield, and oftentimes that is not where you want to be. Yes, you could use this aspect effectively, but for the most part, I think the other two are more effective in PvE, and this is more designed around PvP. But like I said, it really does shine in PvP. And just like that, we have showcased all of the arc aspects in Destiny 2. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. Be sure to check out the other Subclass School videos as well if you haven't already. And if you're still watching, then thanks so much for watching to the end. It means a lot. Take care.